have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes. Men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
And now, Reality Rants with Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Good morning, everybody. It is Reality Rants. I am Jason Bermas, and may your bank accounts be with you on this uncertain morn. And look, here's the deal. We're not here to fearmonger. I'm not here to tell you I have the answer to what's about to drop, but we're going to go over the news stories that are out there. A lot to cover today. You know, when I don't end up doing a broadcast from Thursday evening, I did Mixed Martial Mindset with Fitch, and, you know, we cover a lot of stuff before anybody else. I think that's one of the appeals to those that watch the show and are now learning that, or just new to the show, that what we talk about is sometimes not just days, weeks, or months, but years before other people. And that's not me tooting my own horn. It's just like I got to sit here and I got to watch these Redfeld revelations when he was basically saying the same thing all the way back in 2020. However, it wasn't being amplified because of the malinformation policies that were taking place globally via tech Trojan horse civilian systems like YouTube, like Twitter. And I mean, we could sit here all day today and we could play just Matt Taibbi and Schellenberger and that. We could sit here today and we could just play a lot of the COVID-19 84 stuff on the second hour, because quite frankly, when I play that stuff, like Fauci on CNN with Acosta, one of the worst, one of the survivors though over at CNN, he's a survivor, he gonna make it, didn't get Cuomo'd, didn't get whatever, Lamonde, you know, he's surviving. I mean, and then there's just Stelter. I mean, that's a joke. Hey, you know, Stelter, let's fire Stelter. And then let's have his big comeback be at the World Economic Forum on a panel on misinformation. Cartoon level. And the Fauci interview with Acosta is cartoon level. And really what that illustrates, as I'm going to play later on, is how far gone everything is. I mean, it's gone. I mean, we're way down the line where you got to be, zombified to sit there and watch that interaction and think that the guy on the left is a news anchor. Like, I was thinking about it. Like, if you took a career in broadcasting or journalism and all you wanted was a paycheck. I mean, Acosta's the way to do it, right? They do your hair nice. They put nice makeup on you. Right? They have you with a big prompter and they tell you when to pause and what kind of faces to make and how to enunciate. And you're making a ton of money to socially engineer a society that is beyond Orwell, that is beyond Huxley. It's a combination of both supersized right now. Supersized. I mean, but that's if that's all you want. I still don't know how you sleep with yourself for what you've done. I just don't. I toss and turn enough. Believe me. Okay? So there's that. I am going to have Todd McGreevy of the RC Reader joining me because Donald Trump's in town today. Now, DeSantis was just here, and then he was in Des Moines. See, a lot of the people sleep on the Quad Cities, man. But because of Iowa and the caucus, etc., it's an important political spot to get to right before a presidential election in particular. And it really is the heartbeat of middle America, often ignored otherwise. But I love it here. I freaking love it here. And I put in for press passes. Todd McGreevy, who has the RC Reader, he got his press passes. I was denied. I didn't even realize I was denied because it went to my spam folder. Todd has been good enough to try to get me press passes. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I got to tell you this. Depending on what happens in the next hour or so, it's like 8:05 a.m. on the East Coast. So basically, over the next 3 to 5 hours, depending on when your bank opens and what coastline you're on, time zone, there could be massive bank runs. We don't know what's about to happen here. Now, I'm not Freddie the Fearmonger here. I have no clue what's going to happen. But there are so many things that were completely out of character, even in the crypto world, with stable coins and USDC in particular with Coinbase, that are so alarming that I don't know, all bets are off. I almost did an Ask Me Anything last night. I was trying to set up the new studio. Still haven't got my PC, by the way, guys, which sucks. In fact, I don't know. Maybe it gets here by Wednesday. I'm kind of disappointed. I thought I was going to get it today latest, but we'll see. Maybe it'll be next week when we I mean, it's not going to be much of a visual difference, I don't think. I think that maybe like things like this little gray stuff will be cleaned up a little bit. I already have the other microphone up there. Might be a little better if I have a guest in studio. We haven't done that here. It's kind of cramped, believe it or not, for where I am. So we'll see. I'd like to have more people in studio. Maybe we'll sit down with my good friend Pat Militich. But these things are completely alarming, and we all know, and by the way, can we get some thumbs up over there? Can we get some love? Can we get some hearts and shares and all that other good stuff across platforms, whether you're Rockfin, Rumblin', or even on the YouTube, right? The censored platform, which is just incredible to me, guys. You know, a platform where I have 70,000+ followers, right? 70,000+. Then you go over to Rumble, and alone I get on mine 3 to 5 times the views. Okay, 3 to 5 times the views with 15,000 subs, or maybe 16, I don't know, 17, under 20,000 subs. And then RVM replicates that with the show. We're always like neck and neck. I've noticed that. If one video does 4,000 on my channel, it's around 4,000 on their channel as well. But they've got, combined, we don't have 70,000. And then we're doing like 10 times the numbers. That's how bad YouTube is. So I still need it. I need to bring people in from the cat videos. That's how we're doing it. So first things first, I want to show people those who are lining up around First Republic Bank over the weekend in LA. Now, as far as I know, it's 5 a.m. there, and we've already had several people come out and say the FDIC has just given them more liquidity, et cetera, et cetera. This could get bad in a hurry, guys. Really bad in a hurry. So there you go. I mean, there you're seeing it. And that's not the only bank, guys. That's not the only bank. So let's hit these news stories real quick. America's $620 billion ticking time bomb, FDIC, reveals the extraordinary amount of unrealized losses across U.S. banks amid fears more will collapse after the sudden failure of SVB and Signature. You see? Oh, okay. Now it's getting serious. Now, let me explain just on a micro level how this is even going to work for the little guys. Because the FDIC only insures to 250,000, and with SVB in particular, those accounts dwarf $250,000. Okay. First of all, don't expect anything else other than them, number one, putting it on the little guy, but as they put it on the little guy and strain us, start to try to introduce their own CBDC, digital currencies of control. That's what this is about. All right. And it's about consolidating tech companies as well, because now there will be a fire sale once these are not bailed out on small tech companies that had 5, 10 million in the bank, had a $50 million investment. Those are much smaller than the Leviathans, the multi-billions, the almost $1 trillion industry of an Amazon, of a $44 billion Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. You get what I'm saying here? So now you'll be able to absorb all these companies if they're not bailed out. That's one. Number two, a lot of processing companies, payment processing companies were involved in this. And as a lot of you guys know, I do America Media Periscope on Wednesdays, right? I do Making Sense of the Madness. Sometimes I host the show. I get paid a small amount of money to do that. And I didn't even realize it because I don't depend on it, and it's not something I really pay attention to. Obviously, Red Voice Media is where it's at. That's the big gig. Every 2 weeks, I get a small amount of money, and apparently, I get the email because of the SVB bank and because of their processing company. I'm not sure exactly when we're getting paid. They did give a date, so I'm not trying to blow up their spot or saying they're insolvent, nothing like that. But again, because the processing companies are using part of these bank apparatuses, all of a sudden those funds are frozen. And later on down the line, that's where we're going to get into the crypto market. Okay. And the Coinbase USDC, what I think is a scandal. And just, again, bad signs everywhere, guys. Bad signs everywhere. So, Federal Reserve announces that all depositors at Silicon Valley Bank will be protected as another bank, Signature Bank, closes and an auction is held for SVB's assets. So, they're saying they're going to protect it. How is that possible? Who's protecting them? How is this going to work? The Federal Reserve Board on Sunday announced it will make available additional funding to eligible depository institutions to help assure banks have the availability to meet their needs of all their depositors. Are we just going to start printing even more money? Is this the inflation train to the absolute end of the line? Yellen, again, one of the most unimpressive bureaucrats I've ever seen up there. They're all terribly unimpressive. There used to be a demeanor of those that were up there that I wouldn't say impressive, but as they were oppressing and lying to you, there was a certain amount of respect for that person. There's no respect here. To me, this is a bag lady that could barely be a Walmart greeter if we got down to what she could actually do. That this person was basically taught how to speak and lie globalist talking points. That's it. And it's not Democrat. I'm sorry, Republicans and conservatives. It's not. It's fuzzy economics that are leading us towards globalization and consolidation of power. They're not oxymorons of each other. So, First Republic bolsters liquidity after wild weekend of bank failures. Yes. So that's the bank that you saw those people waiting outside for. Again, that bank opens in about 2 hours. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens. Let's keep going down the line on the banking news, guys. There's a lot of it. Wells Fargo says technical issues causing customers to report missing deposits. Oh, that's a great sign. That's fantastic. Can we get 100 thumbs up? Can we move them up? Come on. Let's rally this train. I'm sure it's just a technical issue. Banks are so loving and honest with the rest of us that I don't know why we would question this at all. Oof. I got to tell you, let's see. Met a guy from Etheridge, Tennessee over the weekend. Well, did you, Scott Bailey? Sorry, I just read that. Props to the Bermas Brigade in there, doing their thing. So let's continue down the line here. And this was 3 days before the collapse of SVB. This again shows you cartoon level how rigged everything is, how everything is PR and bullshit and lies. Hate to tell you, especially when we're talking about financial institutions, man. I mean, buckle the truck up. Things don't look like they're getting better. 3 days before the collapse of SVB, Forbes is proud to annually rank America's best banks for the 5th straight year. So SVB, one of America's best banks for the 5th straight year. We salute you, Forbes. So then this happens. Stable coins. So a few days ago. And this almost, guys, I don't know, not that I'm not the crypto kid. I ain't giving you advice. You put crypto in the title, boy, they can't wait to get you. All I know is the stable coin at $1 is supposed to stay stable. And it usually does. And when I convert my Ray, I used to convert it to Ethereum and then sell Ethereum via Coinbase, both the wallet and then the app or the website, right? That's how you can do it. Anybody, pretty basic stuff. Use a decentralized exchange like Uniswap and do that. Well, USDC comes around and that takes away most of the fees and it's 1-to-1. So there's no slippage, right? Because these transactions can take some time, seconds, minutes, sometimes a little bit more, really depends. Usually doesn't take more than 10 minutes these days, but again, it's there. And there's a certain volatility to Ethereum going up and down, blah, blah, blah. So, I've changed it that I take my array and I convert it to USDC and then I sell that at the 1-to-1 and I put it in my bank account. Look what Coinbase decided to do over the weekend. We are temporarily pausing USDC, USD conversions over the weekend while banks are closed. Wait a minute. Isn't the point of crypto? And they just put out this commercial, by the way, which again shows you how hilarious it is, making fun of the banking system and how this system is anywhere, so quick, no restrictions. And they're like, during periods of heightened activity, conversions rely on USD transfers from the banks that clear during normal banking hours. When banks open on Monday, we plan to recommence conversions. So we're waiting. Now that we brought that up, let's see if Coinbase has anything to say yet. Okay. Here it is 12 hours ago. Despite the turbulence we have seen, the traditional banking sector recently, Coinbase continues to operate as usual. At Coinbase, all client funds continue to be safe, accessible, including USDC conversions, which will resume on Monday. So here we are. What's my prediction on this? If I had to put on my crypto cap, what's my prediction? Okay. First of all, let's see what happens with the banks today, especially. Because, if this is the day that all of a sudden you see multiple collapses, can you imagine what that speech is going to be like with Trump? Oh boy, he's jumping on this. And I've already seen Bernie Sanders and others say it was the Trump administration and deregulation that allowed this. And in a sense, at the very end, with the COVID-19 84 nightmare and the print up of everything and the bullshit that they did to erect Wall Street by closing the market, shutting it down several times as it collapsed almost 3 years ago now, guys. Boy, I've got a Facebook post that I'm going to share with everybody too. I think we are from March 12th or 13th of 3 years ago. And boy, did I get laughed at by a lot of people. People thought we might even read the comments. It's ha-ha funny time. Ha-ha funny time. Let's see how spot on I was from 3 years ago. Okay? So, again, if I'm putting on my crypto cap, this is what I think is going to happen. If we do start to see banks go under, I think the stable coin market, the weakest of which, will start to collapse. I don't know about USDC because some big banks are behind that. They like USDC. And I also see, although we've already seen an evisceration, okay, an evisceration of many of the altcoins, expect more. And I would expect even a fallout, kind of the reverse of a pump and dump of Bitcoin further, Ethereum even further, right? And only certain coins going up so that they can be bought up fire sale style when people start to panic and just offload. And a lot of the altcoins, their whole, especially if they were invested in banks that don't have any kind of liquidity, they could fold altogether. That's what I'm putting my cap on. By the way, you'll notice that Peter Thiel is trending. Now, why is he trending? Wait, Jason, didn't you just do a video about Peter Thiel? Again, you can go back a decade, and go watch Shade the Motion Picture, and we were talking about Thiel then. So why is he trending? Well, apparently, it's being reported in the media that Thiel saw SVB coming, and he told a bunch of his investor buddies, hey, get the mother truck out of there right now. Pull it out. And essentially, he's being blamed for the run that took out SVB like that. So all I'll say is this. Thiel's not a stupid guy. He's into Palantir. Palantir is track, trace, database globally on it's the Total Information Awareness Network. So when something like this is about to go down, I'd say a guy like Peter Thiel is in the know. Hard to get around that. That's why he's embedded himself with the predator class and technology. That's why he sits on the steering committee of the Bilderberg Group. Okay? So I know that a lot of people want to look up to him. They think he's free market. He's libertarian. He's globalist, man. And he's a transhumanist. 100% of the time a transhumanist. I mean, that's it. He says a lot of things that are the real deal. I mean, you go watch that watch long. I mean, I don't know if we're a week or 2 weeks out. I'm sure I think sometime this week, the second hour where we really got into the Thiel conversation will be available for free, even if you're not a premium member. And I do want to remind people to come on over to the premium side of the broadcast, redvoice.com/Jason, redvoicemedia.com/Jason, redvoicemedia.com/uncensored. It's $1 for the first week. And this would be the week to start. Not only do we have Fired Up with Chad Canton after the show, I believe that's right after the show, but we have Matt Couch today joining the network. So Matt Couch's initial show, I'm not sure. I think half of it, just like mine, is they're doing the same model, 2 hours of broadcasting. First hour free, second hour premium. Get all the premium stuff. Sign up today, and it helps support this broadcast. So there's a couple other stories concerning the economy that I think that we need to delve into. 120-unit Burger King operator files for bankruptcy. And I said that this is not a good sign. This is last week. And I saw people cheering, boy. They're like, Jason, it's garbage food. What do you like Burger King, Jason? What are you talking about? No, it's not that I like Burger King. It's that America likes Burger King. It's that fast food has been a lucrative business. It can turn somebody that's a hard worker and saves up and finances one of these things as a franchisee into a small business, really a small businessman, right? Because they end up, franchising 1, 2, 3, 4 of these things. They make a couple $1 million a year, maybe 4 or 5, depending on how hard they're working. But it's something that has been, if you're a hard worker and you want to get in that industry, you can thrive. And obviously there was a time where they were thriving with 120 of these units. When Burger King, which is top 5 fast food in the country, used to rival McDonald's, now you got the Subways, the KFCs, the Chick-fil-A's, a lot of other options, I get it. But they're talking about underperforming stores, okay, and increased costs. So that's not so great. What people, and the thing is, the increased costs have stopped the casual person. When the value menu isn't $1 and it's not $2, okay, well, all of a sudden when you're getting a value meal, which is fries, a soda, and whatever the hell they give you for $10 to $15, and you got a family of 4, not the best option. Really can't afford it anymore. So I think that this is, again, another sign of bad times. So here's where we get into an interesting aspect of this you will probably not see anywhere else. And then I want to play this video. We talked about Jess Staley being named in this Epstein case with J.P. Morgan. On Nick's Marshall Mindset, we talked about Jamie Dimon now being investigated in the Epstein case for the Virgin Islands lawsuit. Silicon Valley Bank is one of the 10 banks who got Epstein-related subpoenas from the AG in the U.S. Virgin Islands, who was trying to find his sources of money. So if you take a look at this, they named 6 more banks at the end of the article, leaving one of the 10 named. Those are Fidelity, Charles Schwab, Bank Leumi, Wells Fargo, by the way, Northern Trust, and Silicon Valley Bank. Who cares about the Dems? What I care about is the Epstein connection. All right. We acknowledge our error of onboarding Epstein in 2013. This is Deutsche Bank. And the weakness in our process and have learned from our mistakes. I bet you have. Immediately following Epstein's arrest, we contacted law enforcement and offered our full assistance with their investigation. I'm sure you did. Okay. Representatives from J.P. Morgan Chase and Citibank declined to comment on the article. Well, that's going to bring me to this. So I saw this. Jeffrey Epstein said he stopped hanging out with Trump when he realized Trump was a crook, according to his brother. And boy, the MAGA train gets all upset at me that oh, Jason, you're so bad, posting this article. They had a relationship. I'm not saying that that's why their broship ended, because Trump was the crook. That's not what I'm saying at all. The interesting thing about the article, when you read it, is they're talking about the tapes with Steve Bannon. And I reported on the tapes with Steve Bannon all the way back in 2018 before the midterms. Okay? It's almost 5 years ago. Most people have never acknowledged the Bannon and Epstein tapes at all. Okay? And apparently, Bannon has 16 hours of Epstein tapes. So I put this out there, and I see somebody say propaganda, and then I come across something I didn't even know. Bannon put out a trailer with his interview with Epstein, and there are multiple interviews. And this was out over a year ago. Have you guys seen this? I haven't seen this before. So we're actually going to play it, and it's a decent little trailer, but it leaves so many questions up to the imagination. So without further ado, here it is. The Bannon tapes.
Next month marks 2 years since the death of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein inside a New York City jail.
We were underage. We were little girls. By the time I was 16, I brought him up to 75 girls.
But he was glib, and he lived essentially like he was Gatsby. He was an absolutely terrifying person to encounter.
You own an island, right?
Thank you very much.
Two islands, the islands of Dr. Moreau.
Correct.
The islands of Dr. Moreau. We've talked about the genetic engineering. We've talked about the baby-making ranches. I'm just saying, I didn't expect to see that.
Jeffrey Epstein was a billionaire New York businessman whose vast wealth brought an arrogance that knew no limits. He acted as if he could have anything he craved.
Reporting the FBI is now looking into how it can interview Britain's Prince Andrew over his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
I made my living from old thinking, but the future is for the way women think.
The way women think.
That's correct.
Is that not a sop because of all the depravity you've done against young women, and your new sop is that their women's thinking is the future?
No, I've always believed that women would in fact be able to take over. I'm a firm believer and supporter of Time's Up.
Federal prosecutors said yesterday video of Epstein's jail cell when he made his first suicide attempt no longer exists.
And Jeffrey Edward Epstein?
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
Epstein got away with his crimes because nearly every element of society allowed him to get away with them.
This morning, we're learning new details of the exact cause of death of former registered sex offender and financier Jeffrey Epstein.
The greatest threat to people put in solitary confinement is they try to kill themselves. Imagine that. You're only in a room for 24 hours, you start to go crazy.
So I'm waiting. I had no idea that existed until I saw it. And let me say this. That story came out in the New York Post. And it seemed like either Bannon was trying to, in my opinion, that he was trying to curry favor with Epstein, maybe for some money or connections prior to the midterms for the Republican Party. That was my first thought when I saw that. And then after it came out that basically we had put Cernovich on the stop. When I say we, I was working for We Are Change at the time. And Luke was doing an interview with him. And he asked me, hey, what do we ask him? And I said, hey, this story just came out the other day. Ask him what he thinks about Bannon meeting with Epstein. This is prior to the arrest, guys. As you can see, obviously prior to the arrest. And Cernovich reveals, because he's obviously hip to the story, give Cernovich credit for at least keeping up on those things, that Roger Stone is supposedly the source. Now, we know that Stone and Bannon have butt heads. Stone has made some allegations about Bannon. I'm not here to make allegations against anybody. I'm just here to put out what we know. So that story's out there. And then Epstein's brother, Mark Epstein, says that basically what was going on is that they had hired Bannon to redo his image, basically. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what I should believe. I should be having McGreevy signing in soon, but I'm going to give him a little text. Let's see. Got the link. We'll see. And it's rcreader.com. Let's hope he didn't forget. But if he did, we got plenty other stuff to go over. I have about 20 other stories I want to hit. I don't know if we're going to hit them all, but especially in the second hour, we're going to be hitting this Fauci CNN interview. We're going to hit the Redfield testimony. And I guess while we wait for Todd, I think it's really important that we talk about this story. Oh, no waiting for Todd. There he is. And as I text him, and he looks good. You hear me, Mr. Toddler? I don't know that he hears me, but we hear him. So now he hears me because he just put on his headphones.
I think it's really important.
Or no, he does not hear me. So, Todd?
Hey, man, hold on one second. My apologies.
No, it's all right. Here he comes.
Un memento.
Uno momento. Well, we wait for Todd. We'll let everybody know about his website right here. And it's rcreader.com. A lot of great stories over there. Neighbors to the North, German influence in the new ULMMN, March 12th.
Okay, I can't hear you, though, unfortunately.
Yep, I'm going to try to break you through it. Hold on, we're going to call him up. We're going to do it live. So let's just do it live. Let's see. How do I not? There we go. We got the calling. Bum, 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 bum. This is the exciting stuff here at Red Voice Media. See, this is the first setup. Don't worry.
Good morning, Jason.
Yes. So, Todd, 3 buttons on the bottom.
Yep.
And then once you go into there, it's going to be in your audio settings, and you just got to choose the right speakers.
Settings, boom.
Yep. And then audio. We hear you fine, by the way.
Good.
So you just want your speakers to change to whatever you have your headphones connected into.
There we go.
Can you now hear me?
No, dang it. I don't know what I did wrong. Sorry. Hold on. So much for my Rodecaster Pro.
Yep. So if you here, let's just check it out. So if you went in there, it should be in the top one, and then it'll be on the bottom one right here.
Yep. Microphone and speakers. Here we go.
Yep.
And I got this thing plugged in. Well, I got my new camera you gave me working pretty well, but I don't have the microphone going.
Yeah, no, you know what? That camera, as we're talking shop, doesn't look as terrible as I thought it would. It actually looks pretty good. It's held up decent over the years. Bum 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 bum.
Oh, yes. Why can't I get the sound coming in here? What's going on? And did I do something stupid like mute it? Nope. Oh, here we go. Sorry, buddy. This is not good. But, by the way, while you got me on the phone, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, so keep talking.
All right. Yeah. I heard this morning on NPR, you talked about it earlier. Gosh, the Federal Reserve's going to kick in.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Instead of the FDIC.
Yeah.
They're just going to print it out of thin air, I guess.
I mean, that we were just speculating that. What's the news on the Trump thing? Did they give me a press pass or did they not?
Not yet, no. I think we're going to have to go down there and shake him down.
Okay. Listen, let's figure out which one you're choosing here, and then make sure, and then come back in. All right.
It's back. Yep.
Yep. Okay. All right. So as we wait for Todd, hopefully we will get that going because I definitely want to talk to him. How was that, guys? That's pretty good stuff right there. You're watching it real time. That's how us journalists do it. So I wanted to play Jamie Raskin Unhinged too. Man, it's tough because this is a big story right here. Chinese city backs returns of lockdowns for the flu. You hear that? It's Bloomberg. So now you're going to have all the nice restrictions of just the good old flu, guys. Isn't that nice in China? Isn't that awesome? Isn't that the way to go? That's exactly what we want to do. That's fantastic. And you know what? We've got people like this in our government. Now, you may have seen Jamie Raskin recently on the broadcast. We've played it, where he doesn't know basic economics and how they work, and Thomas Massey has to explain to him what's going on with inflation. And Thomas Massey does a great job of it. He does a fantastic job of describing exactly what's happened. Now, to try to make it into a left-right issue, like I said, the Democrats are all blaming the deregulation of the Trump administration. All these people jumped on to the COVID 1984 measures of just print, do whatever. Print, do whatever. So let's check out Raskin here, because Raskin is just, again, it's cartoon level. This is where we're at. This guy can just say whatever he wants in a ridiculous, and I'm not trying to pick on the guy because he's got cancer, but he's wearing a ridiculous headdress.
They're agnostic about, well, the truth and lies. Who knows what really happened? Who knows? Yeah, who knows? Well, they've got a perfect bill for you then. We call it the Putin Protection Act.
The Putin Protection Act. The Putin Protection Act. Again, all these I'm not even going to say it. I got to stop myself from saying, I didn't want to say that word. I mean, mentally insane, low IQ individuals trying to tell you that Russia interfered with the 2016 elections. That's made up. That's totally and completely made up. All right? Social media information operations run by Russia were minuscule and had little to nothing to do with the fact that Trump was overwhelmingly popular in this country. Grow up, Jamie Raskin. My God. But no, we got to play pretend. It's play pretend time. The Putin Protection Act.
That's what it is. The Putin Protection Act. Distinguished gentleman from New York explained Putin spent millions of dollars in 2016 to pump propaganda, electoral sabotage into our political system. He did. Every security agency in the country told us that.
Again, all these people love to point to all the intel agencies agree, and every security agency told us that. these people are allowed to lie to us. It's part of the gig. It's part of the inbuilt gig of the entire thing. You understand?
We got a bipartisan report from the Senate saying it. They're agnostic about it. When it comes to Putin, they see no evil, they hear no evil, none of it. No, but we know that it happened, okay? That's Putin's plan. Why? Putin cannot beat America politically.
Putin. The poot. And we're not holding water for Vladimir. But I mean, look at how cartoon level it's come. Because of Vladimir Putin, we need to censor free speech. And we're the good guys.
He can't beat us economically. He can't beat us militarily. Putin can't beat us philosophically. There's one thing he's got: the internet. Why?
The internet is the only tool of Putin. You know, forget about the Nord Stream pipe. We can't beat us militarily or economically. Yeah, when we're allowed to just blow up his shit. Be like, we didn't do it. It was him. It was Putin. And then when an established Pulitzer Prize winning journalist writes a 25-page article detailing it. All right. And again, I think about 80% of that's correct. I'm sure some things are left out or misnomered, etc. Then all of a sudden it's a pro-Ukrainian group. I mean, is that what is he? Is it leopard print he's wearing up there? He's got leopard print going on?
Why? Because we're a wide open country. And so he says, let's take advantage of it. Let's go on their social media platform. We'll put people who oppose Putin on the internet in jail, which they do. If you send a tweet against Putin, you're going to jail. You put out a tweet against his filthy imperialist war, which some of them support in Ukraine. If you put out a tweet against that in Russia, you're going to jail. But he says, let's take advantage of America's openness. We'll take advantage of them, and we're going to put out propaganda. We'll lie about when the election is. We'll say it's on Thursday when it's on Tuesday. We'll tell people to go vote next week, whatever.
So, like, again, if you're not aware of when it's your time to vote, and somehow the evils of Putin and his social media disinformation machine somehow infiltrate, and you have such a low IQ, you are tricked by it. First of all, I don't even know how it reaches you. That's how demented and deluded this Raskin speech is. I mean, it's imagination land. What did that happen to 5 people? And I would assume 5 people that don't vote very much. 5 people in the country got tricked because of the Putin campaign to change the date of the election. What? Like, how disconnected from reality could you possibly be?
And that's the genesis of this whole thing. We have our security agencies who alert social media, and they say they're putting up fraudulent information on your platform. And now they come forward and they say the Democrats are trying to, what? Tell the truth. Not Democrats, the government, our paid federal government agencies are trying to tell the social media when foreign malign actors like Russia and China and Iran.
Let me see if we got him. I thought we had him. Can you hear me, Todd? A second ago, we had him. And then we didn't have him again. And I apologize, Mr. McGreevy. I didn't realize you were there. I was playing that video. Yikes. Let's see. Still no audio from Todd either, though. We're going to go back. Hopefully Todd can hear me and we can get video and whatever going.
Iran are trying to interfere in our elections. That's what this is about. Putin Protection Act. They want Putin and Xi to run free over our platforms, and then they want to fine federal government employees thousands of dollars.
Is that him? Did we just get him? He said epic failure on his end. I don't know. Still not seeing you, Todd. Still not seeing you.
If they alert our government to what foreign malign actors are doing. And the whole justification for it is their silly obsession with Hunter Biden's laptop and this New York Post story, which was taken down by Twitter for one day, 3 weeks before the election, as an exercise of their private decision-making. Then Elon Musk buys Twitter, and he fires 6 journalists because they disagree with him. They've got no problem with that because, of course, it's a private entity.
What is he talking about? Well, I mean, wow. Again, none of this is real. I don't even like Elon Musk. He didn't fire 6 journalists. What are you talking about, man? And they didn't take down the Hunter Biden story for a day. And they're not a private company. They were colluding with the government. They banned accounts. They started putting fact checks on everything other than COVID-19 84. This guy's totally and completely mentally ill. Jamie Raskin is amongst the worst. He's sitting there talking about Xi Jinping and censorship in China while calling for censorship here. It's incredible. It's absolutely stunning. It's over the top cartoon level. That's where we're at. Over the top cartoon level. Oh, poor Todd can't get his headphones to work. Well, that's very unfortunate. That is very unfortunate. I was really looking forward to having McGreevy on the broadcast. If we, for some reason, don't get to McGreevy, we'll have him on to talk about the Trump thing. He's got it. All right, well, we're hopefully he's listening to me then. There he is. So can you see me and hear me, Todd?
I can.
Okay, do you realize that your high-pitched voice is now like you have helium? Please talk for my audience.
What is going on here?
Do you hear that?
Monday. Oh, goody.
I mean, I have no idea what you just did with your microphone. But I mean, it's cartoon level. Listen, we're doing a cartoon show today.
It is. That Raskin, it's cartoon world, and this is very strange.
You know what? Let's go with it for a minute.
Yeah,
and what we'll do is we'll come back.
Please, Mr. Trump, will you give us an interview today when you come to Iowa? All right, I gotta fix this.
Oh boy, oh man, Todd.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hang up one more time. I'm gonna try not to figure. I'm gonna actually you hang up. There we go. I like that my audience is with me here. Raskin unhinged, balloon type voices. We're having a good time. We could be 13 minutes away from some kind of an economic apocalypse. You there, Mr. McGreevy?
Sorry about that.
Boom! Boom! There's his deep, sexy voice.
Good morning. Gosh. Wow. Sorry.
No, you're good, man.
Yeah.
All right, so Todd, a lot going on. We've been talking about this possible, I don't want to call it an economic collapse, but you have SVG going down. You've got another bank going down. You now, like you said, have the Fed saying they're going to pledge some kind of money somehow, some way to all investors. I don't know if you caught it, but over the weekend, Coinbase suspended the trading and conversion of USDC into USD until banks opened. That's a huge deal.
Much for crypto.
Well, again, that stable coin, quote unquote stable coin, went from the dollar that it was supposed to before the announcement, right here down to about 94 cents. So took a 5 cent hit. That's kind, 5% hit. That's a big deal, especially for a quote unquote stable coin. And we're waiting. We're checking up on Coinbase's Twitter here. It says that they're still going to start trading it as of 12 hours ago when the banks opened today. You've got lines outside of First Republic Bank in California over the weekend as well. And now you have pledges from the FDIC that they're going to pump them full of funds. Thoughts, Mr. McGreevy?
Did you hear the news in Australia that the that the Shanghai Gold Exchange has raised flags with their source of gold in Australia, that Australia is doping the gold?
Explain what that means.
There's a variance that's available when you're buying the gold bullion from a source that allows them to spike it with a little bit of silver, so it's not 100% gold. And depending on your relationship with your gold provider, you can have a certain variance. Well, the largest customer of this gold mine in Australia is the Shanghai Gold Exchange, and they have raised a flag about product they've received is getting overdoped. It's getting diluted. So when you can't trust the gold, I think there's some challenges there too. So there's little signs everywhere, unfortunately. And I think the fascinating word I heard this morning on public radio, which I tend to listen to in the morning, is contagion. They don't want this to become a contagion. Imagine there's a theme here. It's the new virus.
All right, so let's talk about that for a second, because payment processing companies halted a lot of their payments. People didn't get paid Friday. Now, that isn't a huge news story. I was actually one of those people. Now, I didn't even realize it because it's just kind of the side gig over at AMP where I do the guest thing. But every 2 weeks, I do get a deposit, but I'm on the email chain. And because so many payment processing companies were using kind of SVB as a conduit, people all across the country did not get paid on Friday. Now, that's something that's being completely underreported and certainly isn't in the headlines. And then on top of that aspect of it, you got to realize FDIC only insures about $250,000. Now, the vast majority of the people that had accounts in SVB were companies within Silicon Valley and had far much more capital than that. So that would not be FDIC insured. Furthermore, it was a status symbol for startups that had $5, $10, $15 million of venture capital funds and had some kind of technology that they were selling. Now, and I'm not calling for a bailout on these people, but it's my understanding, and we were discussing this earlier, that if those people aren't insured, well, then their companies obviously go under if the vast majority of their funds were in SVB and they no longer have that capital. And there's essentially a fire sale on their technology and their companies so that they can be absorbed by the big boys more easily. What are your thoughts?
I've heard you talk about this earlier. I was listening in, and it's a planned demolition. It's just another facet of the planned demolition that's happening. Get an asset ruined, if you will, or questioned, so it's devalued in the marketplace, and then go sweep them up and pick them up cheap. Same thing might happen with the stablecoin you were talking about earlier. Of course, you may not remember. Years ago, I got to meet Ron Paul 3 times so far, all right, in life. And it was phenomenal talking to the guy each time. And one time it was backstage at the Rally for the Republic up in Minnesota when the RNC would not credential Ron Paul. I don't remember that era, but
I do. I remember when Ron Paul in 2000, I believe in 8, had instead of, it wasn't CPAC, it was the Republican National Convention. He had a competing convention.
That's the one I went
across
to.
the way.
Yeah. That was Rally for the Republic.
Yes.
And I actually met Tucker Carlson there for the first time then. Anyway, when I went backstage to talk to him, I had the New York Times was in the room with him, and the Atlantic was behind me. I'm sorry, no, the Economist was behind me. So I was in between these two, titans, if you will, supposed titans of journalism. Anyway, when I got in the room and I started talking to him, I said, when you were debating John McCain on stage a couple weeks ago, you brought up to him who's going to be on, if he becomes president, who's going to be on his plunge protection team. And his eyes lit up. He was like, "Yo, you caught that?" I said, "Yes, I did." And McCain freaked out. I mean, he seemed like it's deer in the headlights. Like, what did Ron Paul just say? He just touched the third rail. He just talked about the plunge protection team. Nobody's supposed to know about that. That is it's a very little known, but it's not a cabinet position. It's just this group that the president has that they effectively are goosing the stock markets and goosing the price of gold and silver. They're there to go in and just plunge in where they need to protect the markets, the plunge protection team. And Ron Paul was exposing that during a debate. Well, so I'd be interested to see who the plunge protection team is now under the Biden administration.
Well, look, I don't think, I think that Obama was the face of the administration, but really it was Bush globalist 2.0 management system. And that's why we're seeing just this across the board now with kind of the excuse of incompetence, putting really, in my opinion, the least impressive people in supposed charge.
It's incredible. I caught that hearing where Cruz grilled the nominee for the FAA. Did you see that?
Yes, where he literally knew nothing about the standards of flight and what you would do in any emergency situation whatsoever, and you wonder how he got even to the ability. I believe he runs the Chicago airport. If it's not Chicago, it's another big one.
Yeah, and then I never saw the candidate physically, on the screen, the segment I saw, but then I found out later that the candidate happens to have dark skin color.
Well, look, here's the deal.
Wow.
Whether it's equity or not, you go back to somebody like Colin Powell, at least he was competent and capable. Whether or not I liked his policy, when he stood up there was a certain esteem. I don't feel that esteem when I see Milley. No. Period. And even when like a Rumsfeld or a Wolfowitz would get up there, yeah, you had that, empire vibe. But at the same time,
evil vibe.
Yeah, exactly. When I say empire, I mean Star Wars empire, Darth Vader style, everybody.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very
you've
evil.
got that vibe. But you also got the vibe that these guys did study in class, that they did beat out their peers, that there was some kind of meritocracy that took them to that position. That the meritocracy is gone, okay? And that's because the people that are running the show are clearly the stay-behind bureaucracy that's been pulling the strings via the CIA, the NSA, now Homeland Security, and that entire continuity of government apparatus that has been built up post-World War II. And I think now we're seeing that come to fruition, where they'll just put anybody out there. And every time something fails, not only do you have the excuse that they're completely unimpressive and unable to do their job, and then you'll have the conservative media jump on that talking point again and again and again, but you also get to feed into this ridiculous and false narrative of a crumbling Rome, of the fallen empire. It's our time. This is what all empires do at the end. No. That's not what's happening. This is a planned implosion to bring about globalism. So if we do see bank runs today, we know that this administration has already put out executive orders where they're going to start looking at digital currencies, CBDCs in particular, and Todd, even creating a bioeconomy in this emerging fourth industrial revolution.
A bioeconomy?
Have you not seen that bioeconomy executive order, my friend?
No, I have not.
I mean, we'll have to bring it up.
Yeah.
Let's do it live.
Wow.
Let's see what we can do here. Let's go Biden's executive order bioeconomy. And there it is right there. It is the executive order on advancing biotechnology and biomanufacturing innovation for a sustainable, safe, and secure American bioeconomy. It's literally in the title. It's beyond the track trace database of old and under the skin, literally monetizing our biology, Todd.
I saw you did a piece last week, I think, that was talked about the surveillance tracking state between Mossad and the CIA or something like that. Was that you?
Well, I did talk about the Central Intelligence Agency and the Mossad via the Five Eyes network. I've been talking about that for quite some time. And I've also been talking about the fact that Palantir operates throughout that network and in the United States and Israel in particular. And I'm not sure what you know about the bank runs, Todd. But even in the mainstream press, and now especially the left is pointing this out, you're not going to see it perhaps on much on Fox News, but Peter Thiel is in the news. Do you know why Peter Thiel is in the news?
Because I heard you talking about that earlier, that he was the canary in the coal mine that gave the heads up to his buddies to get out of the bank.
So here are the headlines at Insider, Mint, The Economic Times, Bloomberg. Peter Thiel's founders fund withdrew millions. So not only Thiel and his buddies, but his foundations as well. And that's how it's being framed. I'm not saying that didn't happen, but again, this is a guy who's heavy into intelligence, is in the know. There it is. Silicon Valley Bank's meltdown sparks contagion fears. We found our Enron.
Oh my! We're kind of repeating. It's like Groundhog's Day, about 2008, maybe, or
which would be terrible. We can't do a 2008. We already did 5 2008s in 2021. We already did 5 of those, guys. That's what this printing of the money was. You thought 2008 was bad? Yeah, that was like 24 trillion in loans that went out. They told you it was $8 billion. Total bullshit. And what they're telling you is like, what, 5 trillion, 7 trillion in those months? That it could be 100 trillion. It's imagination land. It's zeros and ones on the way to SDR, special drawing rights, IMF slavery in a new form. Todd, hold on. We're about to go over to the premium portion of the broadcast. We're about to hit that 8 a.m. marker over here, 9 a.m. on the East Coast. I want to remind everybody, we're here Monday through Thursday live. Thumbs it up, subscribe, and share. The links are down below to support the broadcast. You can listen for free to me and Todd, and I got some Fauci for you. In fact, Todd and I are going to do some big-time Fauci after this, some Redfield after this. Can't do it on the YouTube. You can listen over for free at Podbean, but sign up for $1. $1 or lock it in for $100 for the year. Come on over to redvoicemedia.com/uncensored, redvoicemedia.com/Jason. We're going to give the cue to the producer, and I'm going to start heading down the line. Rumble, always a pleasure. We'll see you later. Goodbye, Twitter. We'll see you, YouTube. Hey, YouTube, I love you. I just wish we had some views. Huh? I wish we were monetized. I wish we were treated like other channels. We're not. We know it. What can you do?